Hey, Fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Prusa MMA. Today, we got a very, very special guest. My guest today is getting ready to compete in the PFL World Tournament Finals, August 15th, Charlotte, North Carolina, taking on Jenna Bishop. She is pioneer, legend, if you will. She's the girl, Rilla. She's Miss Liz Carmouche. Liz, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Liz, you've been in this world of mixed martial arts for such a long time. When you first got started in the world of mixed martial arts, it didn't look like it was today. It was a time where there weren't as many events. The paydays weren't as good. Not many enough people were watching it. You didn't see women in it as much as you do now than when you first started, obviously back then. Did you ever imagine this to blow up to what it is today?
Not even slightly. No, definitely when I started, it was more of a passion project. Like really when I started, if you were competing and trying to pursue it professional amateur, it's just because you love the sport. It's not because you thought that this is something you could do full time or that anyone would ever know who you were. Like if you're in it for fame, you're definitely in the wrong sport. If you're in it for a payday as a woman, definitely in the wrong sport.
What were people telling you back in the day when you told people you're competing in mixed martial arts and this is the avenue that you want to get down? What were some of those reactions like?
Honestly, I didn't tell a lot of people. People would find out one way or the other. I just told them that I worked at a gym and that I went to school full time. Also, just because I didn't really know where it was going. And then I would see other people's reactions and their interactions. I'm like, all right, there's a lot of judgment, and they tend to think that we're just street thugs that are getting paid a little bit of money to fight. And I'm like, I'd rather people just not know. And then they're like, wow, you're in really good shape. What do you do? I'm like, a little bit of this and that.
When you first started getting into it, what did you see in this sport? What was it that stuck out about it that really wanted you to be part of it?
I love the challenge. I love that it wasn't just a physical challenge, but to be a true mixed martial artist, you had to learn so many different martial arts and then how to make them come together and join in a cohesive relationship. So I love that you couldn't just be a boxer in this sport, just be a jiu-jitsu practitioner, but the more martial arts that you were able to piece together and the more that you understood all the shows that your opponent could do, it just made it that much more appealing to me.
In this day and age, we don't see a lot of guys or girls refer to themselves as martial artists. I mean, it's a lot of fighter. But for you, what does it mean to call yourself a martial artist?
It means a few different things. I think to be a martial artist, there's a level of being humble, a respect for your opponent, a respect for the organization. Going out there, it's not just about just fighting. It's going out there and trying to represent the people that help you participate in it. And really, as a martial artist, it's about being a technician and wanting to really showcase everything that you know about all the martial arts in one time.
One of those first promotions that really showcased women on a mainstream stage in combat sports, obviously Strikeforce. What was it like fighting in that promotion during that time?
It was, when it's crazy to look back on because at that time, it was the biggest show in the world. It was the biggest opportunity. And now when I look back, I'm like, well, it's kind of weird when you figure that there were shorter rounds in the beginning, that the fights were ended and they were a lot shorter. Like if a woman was on the ground and she took a few, like 3 punches, the end of the fight, where a man could take 26 punches. So significant differences like that. You couldn't elbow the head of a grounded opponent, right? So it was definitely like a huge difference. But it was also like you knew there was only one organization to be the best. So if you were fighting that organization, that meant you were one of them.
Absolutely. Obviously, you're going to be known forever for being one of the first 2 women to fight in the UFC, obviously taking on Ronda Rousey. Where were you when you got that phone call that all that stuff, all that was being planned and you were going to fight Ronda?
Yeah, so I was pretty big on that time where I had like a 9 to 9 rule. So from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., I didn't look at my phone. I wasn't going to answer phone calls or text messages. And there was just something about it where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to check my phone. I don't normally do this. And I saw tons of missed text messages and phone calls. And I was in my kitchen and getting ready to make my morning coffee. I'm like, I just feel like if my manager and all my coaches are calling me, I should probably call them back. They don't normally they know the deal. They wait. So if they're all calling me, something is going on. And it was like 8:30 in the morning, a weekday in my kitchen. At that time, I was living in San Diego, California.
Do you really take a lot of pride knowing, you've been one of these pioneers, I guess, if you will, with women's mixed martial arts? Now there's a time where there's so many different women's fights. Every single organizations, women are getting huge paydays in the sport. Some of the greatest fighters in the world are women. You take a lot of pride in knowing, you were one of those key pieces that led to this.
Yes and no. I mean, when I really think about it, I'm still so active as a fighter and as a martial artist that I don't often sit back and look at the whole thing to take it all in. I'm still focusing on my evolution going forward. It's really when people ask and or like one of the other fighters asked me a question like, "How do you feel about this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, like that's crazy. I hadn't thought about that." And that's like it's or my son asks different questions, and that's when like there's a level of pride knowing that he has pride for me, and he's proud to say that like that's my mom. She's done these things. Have you heard this? I think it's in those moments is when I actually feel that.
The life of a professional fighter, I mean, is really like no other. I think this is one of the craziest lifestyles anyone can do. Obviously, before you make it to the UFCs, the PFLs, all these big shows, battling on the regional scene, fighters have to have a 9 to 5 job, basically. I mean, they're not making millions of dollars there. You miss birthdays, weddings, Thanksgivings, dinners, all these things, sacrifice everything just for the chance to maybe make it. Obviously, you've solidified yourself as a big name in the sport. You fought in all the big promotions that it has to offer, but you still have to make the sacrifices every single day. You've been doing this for well over a decade. What's made you want to keep going and keep pushing?
I love the sport. I love that it's a something I can always evolve in. There's always a challenge. There's a new piece. There's a new look. There's always a way to tie in a different martial art into it. And that keeps me captivated, is always feeling like there is no roof to the possibility of what I can grow as a martial artist. And so it keeps me coming back for more, just wanting to set new goals and try new things and push myself to new limits.
One thing I love about mixed martial arts, I mean, it really it provides so many different learning opportunities, different morals, values, discipline, honor, respect. So many fighters have told me when they first started, they were at a totally different walk in life. They maybe were going down a bad path. Mixed martial arts provided them guidance. It saved them and put them on a steady trajectory. For you, how have you grown as a person through martial arts?
A lot of ways. For one, getting out of the Marine Corps, trying to find, a way to mentally ground yourself. The camaraderie that I experienced from there and feeling lost when you get out because it's a whole different language, it's a whole different lifestyle being a civilian. And I found something where I connect with other people and like-minded people. So it gave me a home when I felt like I didn't have one.
Did you find some benefits, obviously, from that military background? Did that help in the training and the competition aspect of martial arts?
Yeah, absolutely. From having trust in myself to be able to get through difficult situations, to always have the ability to make adjustments. Like I can be driving cross country and I'll still have the discipline to stop and work out and stay on my diet and find a way to get a workout on the side of the road, just leaning on the side of my vehicle. Right. And so those are things that I learned from being a Marine when they're like, hey, we need you to complete this mission, but you have to figure out how to do it. I mean, we give you no resources. So I think being able to always on the fly have to make those adjustments definitely helped in my career.
Do you feel that fighting is more mental than it is physical?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen great athletes, great martial artists who go in there and they're second guessing themselves and they're doubting themselves when physically and on paper they are so superior to their opponent. But that day their opponent shows up and thinks they're the best in the world when they're untalented. They gas out in the first 20 seconds, but they catch them. So it's definitely a mental game where if you don't believe in yourself and you doubt yourself, you're not going to go out there and put in your best performance.
Following your time in the UFC, you went over to Bellator, had an unbelievable run, captured gold, defended 3 times. Looking back at that stint in your career, how do you sum that up?
Yeah, I think it was a few different things. I think, getting cut from the UFC put my career and my balance of life, of work, it kind of put everything in perspective into what made me reevaluate what I wanted to be known for in fighting. And I realized it's like, cool, well, I'm a gym shark and I can finish anybody in there and I'm doing all this stuff and all these cool things, but I'm not transferring that into fights. I'm not going out there and putting on the performance that people think that I'm capable of. And my coaches know that I'm capable of. I need to do something different. And thankfully, a lot of things changed in my life at that time, from switching gyms to no longer being an owner in the gym that I was a part of, switching fight teams. All that happened all around the same time. So I was able to fully focus my attention and to reevaluate and reapply myself in MMA and just take a whole new chapter when I started Bellator.
Obviously last year some big news with the merger of Bellator and the PFL. Overall for you, how was that transition process like?
It's been good being active. The first year I started fighting, I think I fought maybe 8 times, and I thought that that was the tempo of MMA. But that's what I'd always fight on. And then once I got signed to bigger organizations, I was getting like 1 fight a year. I'd be lucky if I got 2 fights in a year, and I felt like I wasn't doing enough, and it wasn't what I was accustomed to or what I wanted. So being a part of PFL, where one, I know the fight season, it's not that guesswork of let's stay ready and you could get a 2 week notice or you're going to have a 6 month to 9 month notice. No clue when it's going to happen. We know exactly the fight season we're going to fight. We know how many fights, when, where, and it takes the stress off it. So it was really nice to, as much as it was a difficult adjustment, it was really nice to make that adjustment into PFL from Bellator.
This year, obviously PFL switching things up a little bit, introducing this world tournament. Overall, what are your thoughts on it so far?
So far, I've really liked it. It's again, no guesswork, right? Like last year I was trying to figure out it was something new to me, and I'm like, okay, so I'm great. I won this fight, and like, oh, but I had the least amount of points, even though I won. I'm like, oh, that's a really scary place to be. Whereas like normally you get out of your fight, I'm like, I won, cool, moving on. And you can't celebrate the same way with that level of excitement because you have to sit there and wait. Like, man, I've never wanted somebody to lose more than I do right now as you're watching that. Normally, like, I'm all about let's see the success of women's MMA, and it's all about elevating each other and seeing where we can go. And here I am sitting there like, I need you guys to lose, and I need you to lose at the last rounds, and it'd be a close decision so that I can advance forward. And then I need you to have so much damage that you can't move on anyway, just to guarantee that I have a spot. And that was just so weird coming out of those, like watching each fight so closely, trying to figure out if I was advancing forward and not knowing. Like a win didn't mean that you were advancing in the tournament, but that also made it so exciting and made me pay so much close attention to the other fights. And you're glued to your seat waiting for what's going to happen for the rest of your career.
Your last time out, very successful performance, took on that Laura Donna, obviously in the semifinals. Looking back at it, what did you think of the performance?
Yeah, I would have liked to have finished the fight, right? There's always, I hate going to decision, and there's definitely a lot more self-gratification when you can finish a fight, when you know that you defeated your opponent. It's not just going to decision, even if you know and they know and everything on the scorecard suggests that you won, it still comes down to a bias of the people watching that have to make a point that you're not necessarily guaranteed, right? There's been plenty of people, including myself, that's lost fights on paper. There's no reason they should have lost the fight. So when I go to decision, I'm always like, sure, everybody thinks I won, but I could definitely walk out of this with an L. So let's not be excited for any reason. But also I stuck to my horses in the sense that I said I wanted to look for a knockout look. I finished, and I was trying every moment to finish her. And I really liked her as an opponent. She was super humble. Just came out there and was ready to throw down with me. And that was a lot of fun, just to know that she was never going to back down no matter what was happening.
On paper, it's a very interesting matchup. And obviously, you had a Laura who was undefeated at the time, top prospect, had a lot of buzz coming into this. You someone who reached goals, won championships, a very well-known name. You feel like a performance like that, you really proved the whole MMA community. Liz Carmouche is still here, and she still got it.
Yeah, I'd like to say, like, it keeps being this thing where they're like, hey, you're facing undefeated this person, that person. They're the champions from their organization. They're up and coming, they're young, and it's like, yeah, you guys keep counting me out. You're asking about retirement and stuff. Maybe ask them retiring. They're the ones losing, not me. Stop asking me. I'm coming out and I'm learning my lessons, and I'm still fast in the gym. I'm still strong in the gym, and I'm finishing fights, and that's the important thing that needs to be happening.
So with that win over Laura, obviously that advances you to the finals, August 15th in Charlotte, taking on Jenna Bishop. Great matchup here. Overall, what do you think of Jenna as an opponent?
Yeah, Jenna is going to be a game opponent. For one, she's a southpaw, and that always throws a wrench in everybody's plan, right? Regardless of who you are, a southpaw always changes the dynamics to everything. And if there's one thing she showed going against Kana, who's known for her judo and being on the ground, is she's willing to stand and bang, and if the opportunity presents itself, she will absolutely go to the ground. And she's a finisher when she gets there. So this is a good place for both of us to showcase our jiu-jitsu, our judo, our wrestling, but also to stand and bang and just throw down. And I know that she's going to bring it all on August 15th, just like I'm going to.
Is there a sense of excitement knowing that you could possibly be the first woman to win this world championship, world
Absolutely. Yeah.
tournament?
There's always that excitement when there's a new chance to have gold, a new belt to bring home, and to always do a first. That's always super exciting.
All right. Obviously, Jenna Bishop is there. She's in our future coming up. But I have to ask you, with a win over Jenna, is a matchup between Dakota Dacheva. Do you think this is something that's in the mix?
Yeah, I saw some mentions of like a White House fight, doing it for and for like the presidency, and I think that would be an amazing matchup. I think stylistically, everything she's done, it would be really exciting, and just for the way that we have been in PFL, it only makes sense for us to have that matchup. And I certainly think a White House fight would be again another first, and how cool to do it against such a talented opponent.
Absolutely. You've been doing this for so long. One thing I want to ask you is how has it changed from when you first started getting into it to now in the sense of training? How's the technology associated with it evolved over these years?
Um, Not so much with the technology, but I would definitely say that the train has changed drastically. One, for more opportunities being available for women, from women seeing them where they're now headlining fights, main events, where they're the most exciting fight of the night. But also just the talent that they're putting out. They're being more weight classes. That they're those are the fights you're talking about. It's not like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I guess we have a female fight on the card. That's not the case. There's multiple female fights, and people are tuning in because they're excited about it. And then training, we definitely learned a lot more as far as what we need to be doing with our recovery, our strength and conditioning, how the tempo of our training camp should go. Just all of it. There's a lot more awareness for longevity in the sport and trying to do everything possible. When I started off, it's no, you go 100% every single day, 7 days a week, and that's the only way for success. And now it's like, yeah, that works, and for a short amount of time, which is why many of those fighters are not around today. We learned from those mistakes, and that's definitely been applied more in MMA today.
At this point in your career, what's the ultimate goal?
To get as many belts as possible, to take over and just keep making new firsts. Like I said, a White House fight. If I can get convince the PFL to do a 135 division, do that, get super fights, champion on champion. I'm just trying to keep collecting as many different versions of the belts as possible, and just keep having all those checks in the boxes.
With being able to capture this world title, this world tournament title, how does that further your legacy?
Yeah, I'm chasing kind of like what Chris Cyborg has done. She has belts in every organization, and now she's going out there and she's taking over boxing. She's taking over Muay Thai. I want to be able just to get a fraction of what she's been able to achieve, and I want to do the same thing. I want to go compete more in jiu-jitsu. I want to compete in wrestling and get belts there as well. And I'm just trying to chase gold like she's done, and just keep stacking my shelf at home.
How much fun are you having right now with this journey, Liz?
I'm having a lot of fun. I love MMA. It's something that I'm passionate about. And what better doing something every day that I love to do? It's not like I'm just showing up for a normal 9 to 5 job and just dreading every moment of it. Like, it's like, all right, cool. What are we going to learn today? Like, I'm excited, I'm having fun. I'm laughing. Coaches are on the sideline. Like, how is it every day she's coming and she's happy? I'm like, why wouldn't I be? I get to do what I love. Like, this is a great journey.
Obviously, you're somebody you get a lot of messages, whether it be Facebook, Instagram. What's it like when you have younger fighters, women reach out? Hey, you inspire me. I'm doing this journey. You're a motivation for me. What's it like to be able to play that part?
It means a lot, because when I got out of the Marine Corps, MMA wasn't the prospect of possibility for women. Even for men, it's really kind of like just a fun side job. It wasn't a full-time gig for anybody. So to be any type of role model and leader for other people, a representative for other people, somebody that they can reach out to and they feel comfortable that they can ask me things. It means a lot because I didn't have those people to lean on, and to be able to offer any information, insight from my journey means a lot to be able to do that for people.
In addition to being a fighter, you're also a mom, obviously carrying a lot of responsibilities for that as well. But how does your kids motivate you on this journey as well?
For one, I thought I was my biggest critic, and I beat myself up and I make mistakes, but my son is is an even bigger critic of me. I can remember when I fought Connor the first time and I finished her. He was out playing with his cousins, and my wife was telling me the story. She's like, "Yeah, he came in," and she's like, "Oh, she finished her fight." And he's like, So why doesn't she finish all of her fights this fast? Why does it take her that long? I'm like, what? It's not that easy. I promise you. And just the things that he says, like, yeah, but then why did you drop your hand like this? I'm like, yeah, I noticed that too, but I was really hoping you didn't. So he keeps me on it and he keeps me honest. And like also seeing his work ethic when he goes in and he wrestles and how competitive he is, just kind of relights that fire in me all the time to keep it going too.
Absolutely. All right, Liz, last question for you. In a perfect world, what is the outcome August 15th when you fight in the PFL World Tournament Finals against Jenna Bishop?
In a perfect world, I knock her out in the first 20 seconds, breaking her face with the knockout, clean, cold out to win that belt.
Absolutely. Well, Liz, thank you so much for taking time out of camp to talk with me. Can't wait for the fight, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. That's it for us today. I'm Carl Prusa. She is the girl, Brilla. She is Miss Liz Carmouche fighting Jenna Bishop August 15th, PFL World Tournament, Charlotte. Take care, fight fans.